Good day everybody, this is Eero, your coach here. And if you have been following this channel for a while, you probably know that we have these different training programs. We actually have three training programs also that are all very different and distinctive from each other. And in this video I'm going to kind of take a look at these differences and do a little bit of a comparison between these training styles. Basically the combining factor in all of these programs are that they focus on performance, they focus on functionality and health, which are kind of our core values. And this is something that I consider very important, because for me it was never really about just developing a body that made me look good or just being all swole, but at the same time feeling my body is a complete wreck and I couldn't do anything and I would be like have all this pain in my body. So this is not something I want, and it's not something I also want to teach for people. And so our training programs reflect like the exact training that we do or the different training phases that we come through in our training journey. And these training programs, they are all fundamentally very different, because they are these literal different phases, and simply none of them is better than the other. And this is a good thing, because by doing these programs you'll actually get benefits from all fundamentally three different training styles. So the three programs are the Athlete 20X, Movement 20X and the Warrior 20X, and two of these, the Athlete and the Movement program, they are foundational programs. At the Warrior program, the third one is a conditioning program. So we're going to take a look at and start from the Movement 20X, which is our very first program, and this is also our first foundational program. And Movement 20X is like about learning and discovering these new ways of moving, these fun, challenging ways of really moving your body, and this combines, or it gets inspiration from these different movement arts. You can find movements from martial arts, animal movements that I do a lot. There's from dance, there's from gymnastics, there's from yoga and bodyweight fitness. And the really nice thing about this is like for people who basically have done just like conventional training, or some people who actually don't do training at all. This program is actually going to make a huge difference. It's going to be fantastic because it introduces you to these new ways that you probably have never moved in these ways. And this sort of activates these new muscles in your body and new areas in your body, and it also unlocks like just a lot of energy in your body, because the first time like you're sort of like moving your body in much more freer ways, and you're kind of breaking these concepts that you maybe had in your head about like what is proper training, what is not. So movement training really opens up this sort of, or also like mentally this ground for training for you. In Movement 20X really go after this limber and elastic and agile body, and we focus on this dynamic like whole body movements, and this is really the main thing. And the idea is that we want to like develop a body that is capable of moving and expressing itself freely. But also there's the thing that although we focus like mainly on the movements, the Movement 20X does cover all the basic strengthening, basic mobility and basic flexibility also in the body. And we go through these like different pressing patterns, we go through different squatting and pulling patterns for the whole body. And this is very important, because it is also that the movements, sometimes it's easy to maybe miss certain areas in the body, so it's good to have a little bit of structural training there with you as well. And the developing this mobility and flexibility on the side will support the movement training incredibly well. So a lot of this is about just freedom, it's about exploration, it's about playfulness, enjoying your training, and surprisingly like this already causes like incredible amount of good benefits in the body. You will develop like on the side, body control, very like versatile body control, your body awareness, spatial awareness, proprioception. Coordination is a huge thing. You will notice when you do these movements, even like some of the simple like bear walks or monkey walks or something like this, or bear crab rolls, they are very surprisingly challenging for coordination when people do those for the first time, and you'll have a lot of fun just learning these new ways to move around. So our second foundational program is the Athlete 20X, and this is like totally different, completely different from the Movement 20X, where as I said, we develop the body sort of through this moving. So the moving develops the different attributes in the body almost kind of as a side product. But in Athlete 20X, they're no longer a side product. We focus directly on these different attributes in the body, and we're building this, we're focused on the mobility, strength, and stability. It's a huge thing. It's a new thing that comes with the Athlete 20X training, where we also build agility and explosiveness and speed as well. So Athlete Twin X's main thing is this precision training that comes there, and as I mentioned, the stability training. It is based on stabilizing the body, it's based on muscle connection, and you will literally learn this sort of completely new mental control over your body that you probably never experienced before. And this sort of mental control of the body is also, we learn to isolate more areas in the body. But what you will notice during the Athlete Twin X is that isolation is probably not what you think about it, because many think that isolation is just like bumping your bicep and it's like training that basically like brainless. But the true isolation actually requires a very full body connection, because you can't isolate an area in the body unless you learn to also stabilize the rest of the body. And so, but this is something we'll go into more detail in the Athlete Twin X, the actual program and the workouts there. But this is also the reason for the Athlete Twin X, in my experience, is probably the best one to fix different imbalances, fix these persistent pains and aches in the body, because through this stabilization, we make sure that there really no area gets overlooked in the body, which is possible if you just sort of move around freely. So sometimes we tend to move in ways that are kind of easy for us. But the Athlete Twin X is we directly go for the weaker areas, and we really truly grind out those places that are the most weakest for you. And this is how you create a very structurally balanced body as a result, that has the potential, very high level of performance and athleticism. Athlete Twin X, by the way, uses some small weights like dumbbells and barbells. Movement Twin X is 100% body weight. But in Athlete Twin X, the weights, we don't care about the amount of the weight. That is not the idea. But the weights are simply a tool to learn to control the body in a better manner. And for example, in the stability training, they're sometimes very useful. You can create some disturbances that you then need to stabilize with your body actively. But our third program is the Warrior Twin XX, and this again is a completely different compared to these two other, as I said, they're foundational programs, the Movement and Athlete. Warrior Twin X is a conditioning program, and it's primarily focused on endurance, building strength endurance, and also fat loss. And this is probably the program that is the most, well, it's not probably, it is the program that is the most focused on shaping the way your body looks. Although Movement Twin X and Athlete Twin X, they truly shape your body as well. You can build muscle, you can lose fat with those, and many people have gotten these results with them very effectively. But still, Warrior Twin X is the one that most aggressively tries to do this, because the name of the game here is intensity. And the name Warrior, it's no joke. These programs are something, or the routines there in the Warrior Twin X are some of the most intense you've probably ever encountered. And we really make sure that we are pushing the base and we go hard. And the way this happens is actually to follow along workouts. So every single workout in Warrior Twin X is something where I am doing the workout with you from the beginning to the end. These are uncut workouts. I go through every round, every exercise, every break there's between the exercise to the very end, and setting you this sort of example that you can follow there during the tough times of the workout. I will motivate you. I will make sure that you keep going forward. So Warrior Twin X, there are difficulty categories. There's beginner, there's intermediate, and advanced, and there's the elite category. But the truth here is that even the beginner ones can be incredibly tough. Personally, for me, the very first, the bodyweight routine, the punch through, it's very hard for me. And the reason for this is because I push myself. The difficulties is based on here, what is beginner, what is elite. It's more how hard are the exercises to do. But this doesn't mean that the routines itself would be easy or harder. It's very hard if you push yourself, and this is what we will do in the Warrior Twin XX. One important thing there in this program are the breathing mechanics, because what people the main idea here is to learn to withstand under these high stress physical situations. And something that will make it much more safer and much more effective for you and much more comfortable is actually starting to learn to breathe in a better way. And this is why we cover these 3 different breathing methods also in Warrior Twin X. Really just simply help you get much more out of these workouts, and you actually find out you can take much more than you probably thought once you start to learn to breathe in a better manner. So Warrior Twin X, as I said, is not a foundational program, and in this case, if you have really zero training background, it probably is not the best program to start with, because we go very hard and we are pushing the pace. And of course, anybody who is starting this program should start quite slowly and in their own pace, but regardless of this, it's still very hard to like kind of focus on building up sort of underlying strength and mobility that you need in order to thrive, from years on, like looking at the long-term pros of training. So I would probably, if you really don't have a training background, I would start with the Movement 20X or the Athlete 20XX. So all of these programs, probably the best way is to focus on like each of them separately, but there are people who have combined these very successfully, usually like 2 programs together, and this is also possible. But most likely, if you really want to reap the best benefits out of each program, you want to do them probably separately. So these programs are all sort of adventures to these different realms of like physical training and also like the mental approach as well. Like I mentioned, Movement 20X, for example, it's really this returning to the roots of the physicality. This is the sort of training that honestly like you did maybe as a child or as a baby, and you wouldn't call it training because it's just like you were exploring the world around you. You were just playing around, you were reaching for things, you were crawling and doing these things, and this was already like building up your body without you even knowing it. This is some of the sort of developmental steps that I think are very fundamental in everyone's physical approach to have this phase, and many people just unfortunately kind of get away from this sort of training completely, thinking that it's not training at all, but it is a form of training and it's very useful to go through this. But at the same time, saying that Movement 20X, it is exploration, but also like Athlete 20X, I would say that it is truly an exploration as well, to get to know this sort of mind-muscle connection, and having the mental control over your muscles is also a new thing. Some people don't even think that it's almost like possible. It's a completely new concept as well. And developing this very deep level of connection to your body is also a journey of itself. And also like Warrior 20XX, if you haven't really pushed yourself with the training, this is going to be something new. And sometimes like there are people who train for like years and get no results. And one of the reasons is that they never learn to like push the intensity and go to so far in the training that they would create any sort of like significant stimulus to cause like real change in their body. But in Warrior 20X, in these workouts, when you are there, on those last round, championship rounds as they call the 4th and the 5th round, and you're feeling exhausted, you're breathing heavy, you're gassed out, and you want to quit. This is also a moment where you have to, you're on deep waters. You're experiencing something completely new, like mentally as well, and you need to summon this warrior spirit to keep going on these workouts. So this pretty much covered all the main differences between these programs, and it probably show that they are, fundamentally they're not just different like in the style of the training, but they also completely different in the mental approach, as I was explaining. There's more like a playful approach of the Movement 20X, just enjoying the training, doing the training for the sake of training, and then you have this the Athlete 20X, where you're like this sort of surgeon of training, everything is very precise and you're controlling everything and learning this mental control over your muscles, and then you have this fierce warrior attitude as well. So they're really completely different in every possible way. But so right now, like these programs, there are thousands of users doing these programs, and there's people from all walks of life. We have people who are personal trainers, we have physical therapists doing these programs, we have athletes, we have martial artists, dancers, yogis, we have old people, we have young people, men and women, and people have just gotten like really amazing results. For example, in Movement 20XX, there was this guy, he was a climber, a physical therapist, and I think a rugby player, and said like the Movement 20X was probably one of the best investments he's ever done for his training or for his fitness journey. And he got a lot of like control, just mobility and strength from doing this program. And there's like so many of these different like similar type of experiences with other people as well. Athlete 20X, for example, one of my long-term and very close students, Agne, who did the Athlete 20X from the very start, was able to build like a lot of muscle inside like 11 weeks. He was measuring with this body composition thing, and also, she has actually like surpassed all my expectations anyway. She's like still making like incredible progress, like and doing pull-ups and push-ups. Like never seen that sort of strength anyway. And like the Warrior 20X, for example, Samuli, with whom I made the program, who did these workouts with the Warrior 26, the conditioning workouts, was able to lose like, I think it was 15 kilos, around 20 pounds almost of weight with the help of this Warrior 26. I personally did the Warrior 26 conditioning program like now for about like a year, around for a year, and I personally lost like about 7 kilos of weight as well. So these programs, you know, they are something that I've really put like incredible amount of research behind them, experimentation, studying. You know, we traveled all the world for like 3 years studying different training methods. I have coached now people for years and learned a lot through that. I've trained myself literally like almost every single day. I experimentate with myself also training, and this is a huge sort of source of knowledge for me. And this is all, you know, the result that we have gotten, we have put now into these programs. It's just everything is more organized there, because it of course is more chaotic for us when we did it. But now it's like in sort of these formats that people can literally like follow anybody. So if it has been a little bit unclear to you, like what is the difference between all our programs, I really hope that this video made it a little more clear to you. What are these main differences between everything? And if you are like interested in getting these programs or joining in, you are warmly welcome to do so. There's a lot more information on our website, which is the vahvafitness.com/programs. You know, and it's not just information, there's also plenty more testimonials, and you can read about these different experiences and stories that people have had doing our programs. But that's all I have to say this time. I want to thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Stay strong, guys. Bam!